Hello everyone, and this is BioPhoenix here. So today we're going to be doing a video on something that might be considered as a touchy subject for some, but that happens to be 5 RPGs that I struggle to love. So in other words, RPGs that I really wanted to like, but for some whatever reason, I just couldn't get into them. Now, one thing I have to mention, because I know for a fact if I don't mention this, then people are going to get offended at the fact that someone mentioned an opinion that they didn't like. But there is 2 games on this list that are considered to be pretty beloved by a lot of people, and my reasoning for putting them on here is not because I think that they suck and that they're garbage or anything like that, so no. I will say that those 2 games, I do not consider them to be bad games. And of course, I will go into why. And then there's like 2 other ones that I would consider to be kinda crappy personally to me, but you know, even if you guys happen to like those ones, I mean, I'm not gonna get offended by it. In fact, you're more than welcome to do a video response, and if you mention like your 5 games you struggled to get into being like some of my top favorite games, I mean, I'm not gonna be mad about it. In fact, I would like to hear it. I think it'd be kind of refreshing and interesting. So yeah guys, don't be afraid of other people's opinions here. I mean, they can't hurt you. Well, according to some people, opinions hurt them, but you know, that's all on them, not on you. Anyways, with that said, let's begin the list. So for number 5, we have Chaos Wars on PS2. So this is a tactical strategy game that happens to combine a bunch of different series into one, and this is what really made me want to be interested in the game, was that it actually combines like 2 of my favorite series, being Shadow Hearts and Growlancer. I never would have imagined a crossover like that would ever happen, so I was pretty excited to hear about that. But of course, I played the game, and I wasn't really a fan of it. But before we get to the main stuff about the game, I have to mention this because this is the one thing that everyone talks about when it comes to Chaos Wars, is the voice acting. Yes, we all know that the voice acting in this game is some of the worst dubbing I ever heard. It's just so fucking bad, but yet I actually kind of love it. Like, it's just so bad that it's, like, hilarious to me. Like, as an example, when the guy's like, "It is I, Gaizong!" Like, that shit just fucking cracks me up and just makes my day every time. Like, it's pretty legendary for how awful it is, but at the same time to it, though, I also can't forgive them for the fact that they pretty much ruined my favorite main character, being Yuri from Shadow Hearts. They gave him, like, the worst voice ever. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that, because, like, literally, that's, like, the only thing that people talk about with this game is just the voice acting. Hell, I remember seeing a YouTube video years ago, a game review, and all they talked about was the voice acting. They didn't even mention the gameplay. I was like, well, this isn't really a review on the game, it's just more like a review on, like, the localization. Well, anyways, let's mention about the game. So yes, I am a fan of tactical strategy RPGs, and I also do love a lot of the properties that are involved with this game, so of course, I really wanted to love it, even with the bad voice acting and all, but yeah, the game I just thought was just very mediocre. And probably one of the biggest issues with the game is that I find that there's really not a lot of grinding spots that you get in the game, so a lot of characters are going to be very underleveled, and that really fucking sucks. And there's many parts in the game where you're forced to use certain characters too, so yeah, it just has a very big balancing issue like that. So yeah, not much to say on this one. I mean, I never finished it, and I probably am not very motivated to finish it because of the fact that it's just not really that great of a game. The story isn't even that good. I mean, I know it's a crossover game, you can't really expect much, but probably the most enjoyment I can get out of the game is really just by watching some of the voice clips on YouTube, but that's about it. So yeah, really wanted to love this one for the concept alone, but just couldn't get into it. So as for number 4, we have La Place No Ma. Yeah, I have a feeling someone's gonna correct me on the pronunciation on this, but you know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's not like you suddenly thought I was talking about croissants or something. But anyways, so yeah, this is a game I actually did review before, so I'm not gonna say too much about it here, but I will say that I was not a fan of this game. So it's a horror RPG that does take a lot of inspiration from some Call of Cthulhu vibes, and I think that alone is pretty great. In fact, I love a lot of horror-themed RPGs, you know, ones like Shadow Hearts, Parasite Eve, all that good stuff. So when I found out about 1 being on the Super Nintendo, I had to check it out and wanted to review it, and well, like I said, I just really didn't like it much. So to sum up what I didn't like was that, well, the combat system in the game was very basic, which is fine, I can accept that, but it was the way how the damage worked in this game just didn't make any sense at all. Like, you could literally do like a physical attack and a fire attack on like the exact same type of enemy, or hell, just any enemy in general, and it would like do like 1 damage, 2 damage, 3 damage, like there was no consistency, and it was just way too random, so random that it was just freaking hard just to even hit the enemies because I missed so many damn times. Also, the only way to make money in the game is by having the photographer character in your party, and by the way, this is one of those games where like you can like make up your party of like 4 characters and you can pick from all these different classes, which is interesting, I like that aspect. But the thing that kind of sucks about it is that it makes you think that you can be really creative with like the amount of party members and all that kind of stuff, but yet, like, if you want to make money in the game, you have to have the photographer to take pictures and to sell them back at the home base. So if you don't have the photographer, then you can't make money, and you're kinda fucked, unless you're some speedrunner who can apparently beat the game in like an hour without like doing anything, but let's get real here, not everyone is gonna be able to do some speedrunning shit while playing this game. So it kinda ruins the fact that you can't be fully creative with trying to make a party with the game. Also, trying to level up in this game just takes, like, fucking forever, like, good lord. Now, granted, I did say in my review that you don't really need to worry about leveling up too much, because even being level 1, you can still, like, wreck a bunch of early on enemies, but later on in the game, though, yeah, it's a real struggle. So yeah, like I said in my review, this is a game I really wanted to like for its setting. I love the story, and I love, like, some of the ideas it has, but it just didn't work for me. So for number 3, we have... Okay, before we say what it is, all I have to say is that this is one of those games that is beloved by a lot of people. Also, same thing with the one at number 2. So yeah, be warned. But yep, my number 3 spot is Vagrant Story. So here are the things I have to mention about Vagrant Story that I really wanted to love about this game. So I do find that the story and the concept of this game is really interesting. It's basically about like your main character being framed for a murder that he didn't commit, and most of the game takes place a week before the events happened. And the game was directed by Yasumi Matsuno, who actually has done a lot of really interesting stuff. Like, he made Final Fantasy XII, he was also made a lot of those ogre battle games, which I'm a huge fan of. And I remember hearing that this game does take place within the same universe as some of those games, which is pretty cool. Also, for a 3D game on PS1, this is definitely one of the best looking 3D PS1 games I've ever seen. I'd put it up there with ones like Deception 3, Dark Delusion, and that Japan only one called Ankengogia, or whatever the shit. That one that you're on like a mountain. But yeah, those 3 games are definitely some of the nicest looking 3D games that I can think of on the PS1. Just really damn good looking. It could almost qualify as a PS2 game. So if all that's said and done, as much as I really wanted to love it, well, you know the drill. So yeah, this game does have a pretty unique battle system, which I can respect for the fact that they did try to do something different here, but for me personally, I just thought it was just really slow and tedious. So every time you attack something within this game, you have to select what body part you want to attack, which is kinda interesting and does remind me of the later Fallout games, but yeah, like I said, unfortunately in this one, it just comes off as being really slow because it takes forever just to kill like one enemy. Now, it has been a while since I've played this game, but one thing I do remember was that the controls during the platforming and puzzle solving parts were just really annoying and just took a lot of time to get used to. Now, I would need to replay the game again to fully remember this because it has been a long time. In fact, the last time I played this game was actually on my PS3 because I actually bought this game off of PSN, and I was kind of disappointed because the game was from Squaresoft and it was a PS1 game I never heard of before, and it looked gorgeous, and I was like, man, like, how could I not love this game? So knowing all this is a game that I think Square should like really consider doing a remake on, because like I said, I really do like the story, the setting, and like the music's also really damn good too. I didn't even mention that yet, but yeah, this game I think totally does deserve a remake. Maybe pick up the pace a little more and make the action more flashy and smooth. I don't know, they can do a lot with a remake like this. I think it'd be pretty great. But for what we got with this original game, well, here's the thing. As much as I really struggle to love it, I do respect it, and I don't think it's a bad game at all, just one that I really wish I could get into. And for number 2, we have... oh boy, dare I say the name of this one, because I know as soon as I say the name of it, so many people will probably just dislike the video and turn it off and move on to something else, and that's totally cool, but yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna say the name. Earthbound. I'm sorry guys, I really did want to like this one. I really did. I'm not trying to piss people off here. Like, this is a game that I totally do understand why people love this game, but I struggled. I really struggled with it. So let's get into what I really wanted to love about this game. So first off is the story of this game is pretty fucking great. Now, trying to explain the entire story within here, put simply, is not an easy thing to do, so I won't go over that, but I assume most of you that are watching this are somewhat familiar with it. But yeah, I think the story is really great. It has a lot of great writing, it has a lot of charm to it, a lot of funny stuff. And there's quite a few parts in this game that really made you think and reflect on yourself and be like, man, that's genius. And also the whole concept with the final boss is like really fascinating to me. I actually really love that aspect a lot. In fact, I actually like listening to a lot of the theories that people have within the final boss or within certain parts of the story. I actually thought that those are really fun to listen to. So I really do love the fact that a lot of people have like discussions about the game. That's something I definitely do respect about it. And I really love the game's settings. Like, there's like some really cool set pieces in the game. In fact, I really like that one world. I forget the name of it there, but it's that one where like everything's like all black and there's like multicolored. It's the one where like every time someone asks you a yes or no question, no means yes and yes means no. I really love the way that world looks. And I also love the fact that there's like so many different like crazy enemies you get to fight in the game. Like, it's pretty batshit, but I love it. But now let's get to the part that most people don't want to hear me talk about. So one thing that really annoys me about this game is the inventory system. Now, inventory systems in some games, they don't bother me too much, but in this game, I freaking hate it. Not only is the inventory space very small and limited, but also, if you're trying to like transfer items over with the package delivery system, to put simply, I fucking hate it. Not only is it slow, but also just trying to like restock in the game just takes forever and it's tedious. Like trying to buy items in the game, the fact that they have to buy like one item at a time, like who thought of that? Like that's just fucking awful. Also, the walking speed of this game is just really slow paced for what it is. Like, compared to like many other RPGs that came out around the same time, like, it's probably the slowest paced RPG that I played when it comes to like the walking speed. But thankfully, one good thing I can give it credit for is that at least there is no random encounters, because my god, if this game had random encounters with the really slow walking speed on the map, I probably would have quit the game like way early on. And as for the combat system, the only thing that's unique about it that I remember was with the whole like numbers, they roll down in damage, so like whenever you're losing damage, you can actually have a chance to like heal yourself back up again to reduce the damage. But other than that, like everything else about it just feels very much like an NES RPG that just happened to be released in 1995. Like, it's not bad, but it just wasn't really all that impressive to me, other than the fact that the visuals are kinda cool and trippy looking. So that pretty much sums up my basic thoughts on Earthbound. So yeah, I really want to love this game for its story and like all like the other great stuff that I mentioned, but yeah, that gameplay, man, like, there's just so many things that just could have been really improved upon, especially for a game that was released in 1995, the same year that freaking Chrono Trigger came out. But with all comparisons aside though, I don't think it's a bad game, and I do appreciate like what they tried to do here. Like there was a lot of like creativity that went into it, and I respect that. And I also respect the ones that have enough patience to play through this game entirely and really enjoy everything about it. So now, let's move on to my number 1 spot, and this one is kind of funny because this is the game that actually gets a pretty bad rep, so you're probably wondering, why the hell would I want to love this game when most people hate it? And that answer happens to be Xenosaga Episode 2. So just to clarify, I have played and beaten Episode 1 and 3, and I freaking love them. I thought they were freaking great. But as for Episode 2 though, unfortunately, I never beat it, and the reason why I never beat it was because the gameplay just really sucked. But let's talk about the good things though. So, the story in the game is definitely the best part. I think the story is still just as great as Episode 1 and 3. Like, you get a lot of great characterization with Albedo and Rubido. And there's a lot of other really great moments too that I really like, but I won't get into that though because some of it is kind of spoilery. But the gameplay, however, is just really just super slow. Like, this is probably like the slowest battle system within all the games in this list. And the whole stock gauge meter within this game just really does not work very well. It doesn't really give you a good chance to defend yourself, and you're mostly just gonna get fucking owned most of the time when trying to resort using it. And probably one of the biggest annoyances about the game is that there's like a shit ton of loading, and some of the load times are like pretty long too, so yeah, get used to it. So yes, I really want to love this game because it's a part of a series that I really love a lot, and the story is just really great, but that gameplay, man, it's just not good. So yeah, like, just fuck the gameplay. So what I ended up doing was that I ended up just watching all the cutscenes on YouTube and then just moved on to the next game because I really don't have time to deal with this game's bullshit. And one last thing I have to mention, and this is really sad, but apparently in Europe, this was the only game that Europe got within the Xenosaga trilogy. They only got Episode 2. Like, did they know how to do fucking math? So that takes care of that. So yeah, those are 5 RPGs that I really wanted to love, but just really struggled to do so. So like I said at the beginning of the video, feel free to make a video response or feel free to make a comment down below. So you can even list like some of my all-time favorite ones and you can like shit all over them. I mean, I'd totally be okay with that. So with that said, thanks for watching and commenting and have yourselves a great day.